Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's continue our game of Buried Stars on Nintendo Switch. Alright. Where are we at? I think these are in the same place, yeah. So Yale has decided not to annoy us anymore. Taking his secrets with him. Definitely guilty of something if he's willing to take his own life. Okay, can't look anyplace else. Not one place. He moved closer to the body, but nothing changed. Seal was no longer alive. Other than the neck wound, no other wounds were visible at first glance. His nails were broken and his fingertips bloody. The fingernails on both of Seal's hands are damaged and bloody. Dune barely managed to look towards Seal's neck. Neck and belt. Neck. The bruise was visible around his neck like a thin string. There were little wounds around the bruise. It was clear that the cause of death was hanging. The wound from the belt wrapped all the way around Seal's neck. There were also some small marks on the floor, or on the front of his neck. Ian saw a strap under Seal's chin. A leather belt was hanging on a metal hook by a high shelf.
저 귀에 걸린 재킷. 그거 허리끈이야. 옷에서 빠진 걸 보니까 확실해.
Ian took a deep breath, barely managing to speak. Seal pulled out a belt from a costume in the dressing room and tied it to a steel ring on a shelf to hang himself. Or did he hang himself? There was a notebook near his feet. He died over this notebook. Ian slowly picked up the notebook. As he opened it, the last wrinkled page caught his eye.
새로운 재밌거리를 찾아봤지만 생각한 만큼은 자극적이지는 않았다. 아주 바닥을 쳤다는 생각만 가득할 뿐이다. 또 아무것도 바뀌지 않을 거야. 분명히 그럴 거다. 그럼 이제 어떻게 해야 되지? 무능력하고 휘둘리고 남의 뒷공문이나 쫓아다니면서 헛된 꿈을 꾸는데 죄를 짓고 또 짓고.
Ian could sense the feeling of shame and despair from his writing. Seal's last diary entry said that he found something exciting, but it wasn't fun and nothing would change. He called himself an incompetent fool controlled by others, chasing some vain dream. Ian let out a groan.
뭐라고 되어 있는데?
일기처럼 보여. 일단은
Ian flipped through the pages.
언제부터 쓴 거야?
날짜를 봐선 올해 초부터요.
The page was densely filled with letters. Feeling dizzy, Dune closed the notebook. Seal kept a diary, contestant memos, documents, and photos in his notebook. The dates in his diary suggest he'd been using the notebook since the beginning of this year. With that, some photos fell from the notebook. He picked it up without a second thought. A photo of Seung-young and Hye-sung apparently taken secretly. The date on the picture is from around the end of the preliminaries. He couldn't read the entire diary on the spot. Why not? Ian took a step back from the body. The table and surrounding area caught his eye. Things around him looked a little messier than before. A sign of struggle. Oh. The area surrounding his body is disorganized. It looks like it might be from a struggle, but not a previous mess. Dean slowly looked around. He checked the messenger bag. A small pen, coins, receipts, and the tablet were there. Dean took out the tablet to examine it.
이거 상태가 안 좋아.
There was a large crack on one side of the screen, and the battery had swelled.
그거 켜져 있어?
Dean tried to turn it on, but it didn't work.
안 되는 것 같아.
A questionable tablet found in Seal's messenger bag. One of its edges is broken, and the battery is swollen. It doesn't turn on. Dean checked everything his eyes could see. Dean moved back from the site, staggering. Everyone was shocked by Seal's death. Young seemed particularly affected.
신랑이 하면서 방법을 찾는 게 아니었어. 한시라도 더 빨리 강제로 들어갔어야 했어.
They looked for ways to bring Seal out of the dressing room, but failed. In the end, they tried a forcible entry.
그 짧은 틈에 이런 선택을 할 거라곤.
They forcibly entered into the dressing room when Seal became silent. They never expected to see an extreme situation in the room.
혹시 억울했던 건 아닐까? 그치만 생각해봐.
Hina stepped forward with a notebook in her hand.
뒷조사 자료에다 여기 구겨진 페이지는 유서나 마찬가지야. 태블릿도 결국 잘못 본 게 아니었어. 다 탄로나기 전에 도망쳐 버렸다고. 아니야? 억울하다면 제대로 해명을 했어야지. 왜 이런 선택을 해? 말을 하랬지. 죽으라고 했냐고.
Ina handed the notebook to Diyun and covered his face. Covered her face. Maybe Ina was right. Suspicious clues, the diary with depressive contents, and a decision to leave everything unexplained. How did it go? All fine? All settled? Diyun looked towards the watch. Is this the end? Diyun wanted to ask himself. Background checks, suicide note, and taking his own life? Seal did? I thought he would explain himself. Calm down. You can accept them all? Maybe. I see. I guess it's better to resolve the rest after getting rescued. Doctor for a diagnosis, pharmacist for medicine, rescue queue for rescue, the police for an investigation, you know. What do you think? He is the attacker who committed suicide after being cornered. Over? Is that what you want? He bit his lip after reading the last message.
내가 원하는 건
He came this far while turning a blind eye to it. He closed his eyes, shut his mouth, and put that aside. I want the truth. Not yet. This doesn't mean it's over. What a surprise. You're different from what I thought you would be like. This is what I think. If you want to know the truth, then don't turn your face away from the problem. Problem equals problem. I hope the typo didn't ruin my cool advice. There must be clues and facts. But you already have casualties. Seal either took his own life or was murdered. Considering your mental health inside there, you don't have to dig into it. You have an option of sticking together with one another until you safely get out. Your goal is survival. That's all you need to focus on. Let's say you've really found out the truth. Can you really deal with it?
감당할 수 있겠냐?
감당할 수 있겠어?
I've come this far. After all, this is as far as I could. After all, this is as far as I come. And I'm going all the way. Time to slow down a little bit. You could get into an accident if you keep accelerating. Sorry to say this, but you must check his suicide note or diary thoroughly. That kind of writing often contains a hidden clue. Although the writing might express a wish for death, ironically, it might show a strong will to live. Yoon recalled the distressing feeling he felt when he read the wrinkled page. What was it? A feeling of resignation or rage? Dean opened the seal's notebook again. He could still sense the complexity of emotion from the last wrinkled page. He flipped the page. October 1st, there was a live show that day. 2 contestants were eliminated, leaving only the top 5.
실체를 알면 결국 너도 무너져. 너도 그건 무섭겠지? 어디서 온 건지 누가 했는지도 모르는 투수 앞에서 자기가 해온 일들을 되짚어봐. 재밌을 것 같네.
On October 1st, if the identity is revealed, someone will fail. He wrote that he will have to reflect on what he has done until sending an anonymous letter, but this event would be fun. Dune flipped through more pages. August 30th, the B-Stars preliminaries were nearing their end.
서혜성은 아직도 신 PD 백을 믿고 설치는 중이다. 말과 행동 어떤 것도 우승자의 자질이 아니다. 언제 무슨 소리를 할지 모르는 폭탄가. PD가 끝까지 내 조언을 무시하면 나도 생각이 있다. 실체를 알릴 거다. 서혜성에겐 중도 탈락만이 어울린다. 어디가 부러지든 죽어 자빠지든 절대 끝까지 못 간다. 내가 그렇게 만들 거다. 나한테도 힘이 있으니까. 이나 씨는 나만 믿고 가면 된다. 내 방식으로 관리하면 어디까지 가나 해볼 계획이다. 내 존재를 몰라도 괜찮다. 내 눈이 정확하다는 걸, 나도 할 수 있다는 걸 증명하려는 것이다. 신 PD는 이제 옛날의 그 사람이 아니니까 나도 시키는 대로만 할 필요는 없다.
On August 30th, he criticized Hyesung for using his connection with Seung-young to stay alive. He wrote that he would expose Hyesung and take care of Ina to prove himself. Yoon gulped and read earlier entries. August 13th, the preliminaries were ongoing.
이런 짓거리나 하겠다고 여기 왔나? 신승현, 너는 진짜 너무한다. 말이 다르잖아.
On August 13th, he seemed to be furious at Seung-young for some reason. July 27th, beginning of the B-Stars preliminaries.
베스타 예선을 시작했다. 예선 무대를 보면서 옛날 생각을 많이 했다. 그래도 내 눈이 아직 살아는 있구나 싶다. 내가 찍었던 사람들은 대부분 좋은 평가로 통과했다. 전부는 아니지만 사실 등신같이 하는 애들도 있었는데 어쨌든 볼만한 구석이 있으니까 뽑았겠지. 난 그런 게 없었으니까 떨어졌고. 다시 나가볼까 하는 생각은 버린 지 오래다. 그래도 카메라 앞에 서서 자기 포부를 떠드는 모습들을 보니까 나도 들뜨는 기분이었다. 가능하면 나처럼 되지 말고 자기 능력껏 잘 나가길 바란다. 딱 봐도 진짜 아닌 몇 명은 빼고 걔들은 자격이 없다. 일찍들 집에 가겠지.
On July 27th, the day the B-Stars preliminary started, he wrote about his experience and evaluated the others, commenting that untalented contestants would be eliminated. June 18th, just before the B-Stars preliminaries.
자신감이 진짜 많이 떨어졌다. 바닥을 치고 나니까 생각만 많아진다. 베스타 예선이 시작되면 또 정신없이 바쁠 테니까 조금 괜찮아지려나? 근본적인 해결은 안 나겠지만 문제는 나한테 있다. 항상 일에 빵꾸를 내니까 신피디님도 날 인정해주지 않는 거겠지. 이런 상태가 영원히 안 끝날 것 같다는 생각이 머릿속에 박혀있다. 창문 밖으로 그냥 뛰어내려 버리면 항상 생각만 할 뿐이다. 막상 상황이 닥치면 아무것도 못하겠지. 늘 그랬던 것처럼.
On June 18th, it seemed before the preliminaries of B-Stars started, his message said that his self-esteem was destroyed, so he wanted to commit suicide. The oldest one was from May 22nd of this year.
오늘도 개 같은 날이었다. 아래에서 말 더럽게 안 듣고 위에서는 죽어라고 쪼아댄다. 도대체 나한테 뭘 바라지? PD님이 제일 문제다. 사람 등신 취급하는데 지쳤다. 같이 일한 지 4년도 넘었는데 몇 년을 더 굴러야 인정해주지? 이쯤 되니까 내가 3년 전 일을 아예 잊은 줄 아는 것 같다. 그걸 까발리면 자기도 다칠 건데 대우 좀 해줘야 되는 거 아닌가? 처음엔 나한테서 자기를 봤다느니 해놓고 지금 대우는 위에서 사람 취급을 안 하니까 다른 스태프도 날 호구로 본다. 계속 무시하면 가만히 안 있을 거다. 지금 기분을 계속 기억하려고 쓴다.
On May 22nd, he expressed complaints that everyone ignored him. He worked for Sinyoung for at least 4 years. He wrote that his exposure of the incident 3 years ago would damage Sinyoung. There was a business card in the front page. It was one was an old business card with Seal's name on it. When he took a look at it again, he found that its name and logo belonged to WBSN. It was the former name of the current WBS, responsible for producing and broadcasting B-Stars. The business card was old and worn out. Seal's business card that fell out from the notebook. It was for the program Scoop. The WBSN logo indicates that it's an old business card. On the page before that, there was another card from the same program.
이건 PD님 거야.
Program name, department, and logo were identical to Seal's. Singyung's business card that fell out from the notebook. The program name, department, and company logo are the same as Seal's business card. There were also background check documents. It wasn't as bad as what he saw earlier, but it still went far beyond the scope of their initial agreement. The personal information of the top 5 contestants of B-Star Season 4 was found in his notebook. They appear not to have agreed to disclose the information.
도윤아, 너 손이 떨려.
괜찮아.
괜찮긴 뭐가 괜찮아? 상황이 이런데. 아까 자료들 정말로 직접 모은 걸까?
아마도요. 눈에 보이는 사실이니까.
이거 보여주는 게 죽기보다도 싫었단 말이야?
더 심각한 비밀이라면 결국 혜성이 사건뿐인데.
Dean thought again about what was written in the notebook. The letters and images danced around in his head. Did Seal really commit suicide? Could the last diary entry be the suicide note? Was Seal trying to hide the fact that he murdered Hyesung? To find the answer, Dean began to retract the clues again.
베스타 전부터 생각해보자.
Before B-Stars. That's the earliest one, right?
베스타 전이었어.
Seal wrote that he had worked with Seung for over 4 years. It seemed that he joined the staff right after getting eliminated in Season 2. He always felt that he wasn't getting the attention and respect he deserved. And he mentioned he was willing to expose what happened 3 years ago if things went on like that.
처음엔 좋은 말로 합류했지만 이후로는 쭉 무시당한 건가? 3년 전 일이라는 건 뭐지? 이건 시기가 안 맞아.
Oh. That's the earliest date. Okay, time to take notes again. Okay, so we know that's right. Notebook Diary 6. Diary entries after the B-Stars, at the start of B-Stars have nothing to do with the time. Sure. Okay, so not number 4. It's either that or this.
예선 시작하기 전 6월.
CEO completely lost his confidence. He blamed his incompetence for failing to earn Singyung's respect. He was so depressed that he even thought about killing himself.
하지만 결국 닥치면 아무것도 못할 거라고 했어. 언제나처럼.
Oh, okay. I don't know, I was just looking at the dates, and the dates made sense, but I guess that one isn't dated, so you just assume that it happened before Beastars. I'm actually surprised they chose to use Unity for the visual novel. Unity's not really great for visual novels. There's a bunch of engines that are actually much better. Maybe it was a decision made a long time ago. I mean, the good thing about Unity is that it's multi-platform, but like a lot of other engines are multi-platform as well. And they even run on low-spec hardware. I mean, obviously the game works just fine, but I think maybe if you're using Unity to make a visual novel, you'll struggle a bit where you don't really need to if you use, RenP or something. I think even RPG Maker is something somewhat easier to use if you're just making a visual novel. Or RenPy, I guess is how you're supposed to pronounce it, since it's Python. Oh boy, they cover a lot. It's too bad it didn't do an autosave right before you start the investigation. Okay, let's try this again. So we got 5 and 6, right? Yeah, 5 and 6.
예선 시작함.
Seal was chosen by Singyung 4 years ago after he got eliminated from the preliminaries of Beastars Season 2. It was after the video of his miserable failure at the audition went viral. Singyung seemed to have coaxed Seal by praising how special he was, so he joined the staff. But her attitude seemed to have changed after he joined the crew. If he quit, he'd be no one special. If he continued, his self-confidence would crumble. Within that month, Duyun could sense Seal's anger at Singyung's disrespect and the shameful feeling for his incompetence.
생각할 여유조차 없었겠지.
Duyun thought about himself. The training for the finals was much harsher than that for the preliminaries. Then, nobody had the peace of mind to care about others or what had happened during the finals. The contestants didn't trust Duyun nor care about what had happened in the past. The invisible wall set up by Singyun. Inside the wall, Duyun overcame his confusion and regained stability. But was it really stability? Hard training and a circle of friends and competitors kept him busy. In reality, he simply ran away from the reality he had to face.
생각을 접고 도망치는 것뿐이었어.
Oh, yeah, we did get it eventually. I'm just really bad at remembering dates. I just stopped thinking for myself and ran away. Duyun paused for a moment and slowly shook his head.
집중하자.
He began to focus on the diary again. The commonality in the two diary entries.
감이야.
A sense of inferiority.
죽음을 생각할 정도의 극심한 열등감.
Seal wrote about his feelings of inferiority and the self-contempt deep in his heart. He even mentioned death, complaining about the gap between his desired job and reality. Another passage grabbed his attention.
3년 전 일을 꺼내면 PD님도 다친다는 얘기.
The part where Seal said he might not keep his mouth shut forever gave a clue that something fishy had happened. The clues from the notebook, which occurred around that time, were... Let's see, what is the clue that shows the long history between Seal and Singer? Oh, well, the business cards.
세일의 예전 프로그램 명함.
Oh, you only have one choice? Oh, God, I thought you could pick two. Singer and Seal worked together for over 4 years. The WBSN logo indicated that the business card was issued more than 2 years ago. He recalled the name of the program on the business card, Scoop. Dune had seen the name of the program in an article about the new season of Beastars.
PD님을 지금의 위치에 올려준 프로그램이라고 했어.
He had never actually watched the program because that's when he was concentrating on the band. He was not even sure if the secret mentioned by Seal was really related to this program.
딴 사람한테 물어보면 알지도 몰라. 언제쯤 건지, 무슨 내용이었는지.
Dune made a mental note of the name Scoop. He moved on to the entry written before the preliminaries. Around June, Seal wrote about having suicidal thoughts.
몇 달이나 지난 얘기야. 에스타 예선 중에는 어땠었지?
So are other notes that were written during the Beastars preliminaries. Let's see, identity is revealed, someone will fall. He wrote that he will have to reflect on what he has done until sending an anonymous letter, but this event would be fun. No. Like I said, he criticized Hyesung for using his connections with Seung-young to stay alive. He wrote that he would expose Hyesung and take care of Ina to prove himself. As he seemed to be furious at Seung-young for some reason. The day the Beastars preliminaries started, he wrote about his experience and evaluated others, commenting that untalented contestants would be eliminated. Well, that one for sure. Not that one. That one? Oh, there's 3 of them. Okay. I guess maybe that one? Let's see, so I'm gonna pick Diary 4. Diary 2. And possibly Diary 3. Maybe? See what happens.
예선 막바지 8월 말.
There was a line about how Seung had saved Hyesung from elimination, and Seal swore that he would eliminate Hyesung, whom he felt was unqualified from the audition. Seal also said he would show what he's got by backing up Ina behind the curtain.
혜성이랑 이나가 제대로 붙었던 팀 미션 때 일이야. 8월 중순. 분명히 예선 도중이었지.
Dune could sense the feeling of betrayal and rage from the short passages.
짓거리, 너무한다. 말이 다르다. 납득하기 힘든 일을 강요했던 건가?
This one I don't know about.
10월 말. 예선이 막 시작한 때야.
Seal recollected his memory as a competitor as he watched other contestants' performance in the preliminaries. He complimented his discerning eye while criticizing some contestants.
무대에 다시 설 의지는 없다고 썼어. 그렇지만 체념보다는 미련이 느껴져.
Oh. First time, wow.
자포자기한 느낌 같은 건 없어.
He felt contempt towards Hyesung for advancing to the finals by pulling strings. He felt betrayed by Seungyoung for her complete change in attitude. He was determined to prove his own power to her by influencing the auditions.
8월엔 무슨 일로 그렇게 분노했던 거지?
Seal was infuriated with Seungyoung and expressed his feeling of betrayal. He used the words "this crap" and said that Seungyoung had treated him like his slave. What Seal wrote during the B-Stars preliminaries indicated no feelings of despair. However, he was infuriated with Seungyoung about something in August.
이때부터 나름의 행동에 들어간 것 같은데 이런 짓거리라고 부를 만한 게 뭐였을까?
Let's see, what did Seal mean by this crap? Personal information of the top 5 contestants of B-Stars found in the notebook appeared not to have agreed to disclose information. Professional tablet found in Seal's messenger bag. One of his edges broken. Well, it's not that one. Not the business card. Well, it's probably info on contestants.
출연자들의 신상 정보. 조사를 맡길 억지하고는 좋지 않게 계획이 깨졌다고 했었지.
Various materials, records, and photos of the top 5. Could Seung have forced Seal to check the contestants' backgrounds in mid-August? Seal had carried out background checks on the B-Stars contestants. After Seungyoung terminated contracts with some background check agencies, she ordered him to continue the task.
세일이는 열등감 속에서도 어떻게든 자존감을 유지하려고 했어. 그치만 맡겨진 일은 출연자의 뒷조사. 그것도 떠넘겨진 일.
She exploited Seal as if he was her marionette for a long time. She even used him to find out about the past of the contestants for B-Stars. Seungyoung constantly bugged and controlled Seal. Maybe she had been trying to do the same thing to Yoon. She had comforted him by saying that it was all part of the show and that his reputation as a betrayer would disappear by the end. She never hesitated in making promises. And how did he respond to her? What was his mindset like? What did he feel when he saw her body at the collapse stage?
난 분명히
Ambivalence. Shock, fear, anxiety, and he thought about Seungyoung. She was supposed to help him clear his name, but now she was gone. When he saw her body, a wave of mixed emotions washed over him. Yoon shook the distracting thoughts out of his head. He decided to focus on Seal's diary again.
PD님은 세일이에게 출연자의 뒷조사를 지시했어.
This was something annoying enough to explode Seal's long suppressed anger. In the previous entries, Seal was showing a lack of confidence and disappointment at Seungyoung's mistreatment. But as of this entry, there were no more signs of such disappointment. Of course, this was just Yoon's assumption. The anger led Seal support Ina from behind the scenes on his own and to the blackmail that had been sent to Seungyoung in early October.
나름대로 어떤 그림을 그리고 있었던 거야. 직접 그릴 수 있는 방법은 이제 없어져 버렸지만.
Taking into consideration Seal's previous remarks about his management of Ina, or taking his own measures, he must have been up to something. The last page indicated that nothing could comfort him anymore. It implied that nothing would change and that he would give up and continue with his wrongdoings.
나름대로 움직여봤지만 허무하기만 했다.
It was obvious that he felt underestimated. His self-esteem was constantly going up and down. The rest of his notebook was filled with diary entries showing his sense of inferiority and shame.
그럼 정말로 자살인가?
The question brought him back to square one. Were these bad enough to induce Steele's suicide? What if it wasn't a suicide? This question kept ringing inside his head.
역시 마음에 걸리는 곳이 있어. 그건
Let's see, the belt, surroundings. The fingernails on both of Steele's hands are damaged and bloody. A wound from the belt wrapped all the way around Steele's neck. There's some small marks on the front of his neck. I mean, these two are suspicious. I wouldn't necessarily say the surroundings, like being disheveled, are any sort of bad indication. I mean, if he's hanging himself and he kicks the table out, that could cause all sorts of things to fall over. The hands do concern me, though. Although, if you have your hands inside of the noose, they could get damaged if you pull them out, but that usually doesn't happen. So either one of these two would work. What was one of the suspicious signs left on the corpse? So on the corpse, I'd say hands.
손끝에 난 상처들이야. 무대에서 도망칠 때까지는 본 적 없는 상처야. 자살이라면 이 상처들은 왜 난 거지?
How's it going? Not so good, I guess. Took a look. It was plug hole.
당신도 말 좀 해봐.
It's hard to make a guess from my side. Even if he hung himself, he would struggle to get out of the rope instinctively. Any other ligature marks around his neck? Particularly on the front side of his neck. Those are the proofs of his struggle. Plughole didn't seem to agree. You okay? Anyway, your survival is my top priority. Why? Why not? You don't want to survive? Knowing the truth is important. But safety comes first.
안전.
Is it dangerous to know the truth? Suicide or not, if it is, the reason he killed himself. There is no decisive evidence to any of those. And what if he didn't take his own life? Then what? What happened twice already can happen once more.
걱정하는 건가?
I see. Thank you. Dean dropped his hand and turned around to face the rest of the group.
소리 들려? 점점 커지는데?
여긴 위험해. 그래. 일단 복도로 나가자.
The others pulled Dune out of the dressing room. Hina patted him on the back after arriving at the corridor.
이 판국에 워치 보고 있어?
좀 확인해 볼 게 있었어.
안팎으로 좋은 소식이라고는 없는데. 범인 찾았잖아. 아무래도 모르겠어. 이걸로 되는 건지. 아닌데 절해버렸다고? 그건 그렇지만 지은 죄가 있으니 저런 끝을 낸 거야. 그렇게밖에는 생각할 수가 없잖아.
Yu Young's eyes dropped to the floor. Boyhook stepped forward, trying to calm people down.
조금 있으면 구조대가 온다던 시간이에요.
일단 그것만 생각하자. 죄 짓고 죄값 치르는 건 당연한 거라고.
Ina was firm, but her face was somber.
저기
Let's talk a bit more.
조금만 더 이야기해보고 싶어.
어떤 거에 대해서?
분장실에서 본 상황.
걸리는 게 있었어?
이거다고 짚을 만한 건
Theon saved his words. Although it's unlikely, it was still a possibility. Seal could have been murdered, and the real murderer could be one of us. He didn't really want to think that way, but the more he thought about it, the stronger his doubts grew. That's why he saved his words. He had to talk to them at least. So, seeming like it's Ina. That's all he could think about. If nothing came to mind after talking with them, if everything that had happened was simply as it appeared, it wouldn't be too late to get rid of his concerns.
알겠어. 그렇다면 두 사람은요?
나도 지금 어지러울 정도야. 머릿수에서 졌네. 그래, 뭐.
길게 얘기할 상황은 아니야.
알고 있어.
Guess we're safe first. Let's see. The rescue team is about to enter. Nothing there. There were wounds on his hands.
그거는
The kind of wounds that are made unconsciously. Ina massaged her eyes with both hands. There was a brief silence between the two. When a person hangs himself, their body still feels pain,
말하자면
and they will instinctively struggle to cut or tear the rope in order to survive. Although they wanted to kill themselves, their bodies would still resist. Any other signs?
혹시
Are there no other signs? Tell me if you have more information.
아니야.
That's all I know, and I can tell you two things. Ina raised her head and stared at Duyun. If you think it might not be suicide because of the wounds on his hand, you're probably wrong. No matter how closely you look, it's obvious he took his own life. Even if he hanged himself, he might have involuntarily struggled to get out of the belt, resulting in wounds on the fingernails and the neck.
그게
I'm not sure if I can say this. Do you think he really wanted to die?
그게 아니면
Maybe he wasn't considering his death.
Huh?
What do you mean?
그러니까
We were right there, although the door was locked.
그랬지.
We talked to him up until the last minute and even considered forcing the door open.
혹시
So he probably thought we were going to save him right away and... The assumption that Seal would have never considered committing suicide. Too much imagination. A bit unrealistic to say that at this point in time. I don't know. That's just wishful thinking.
들어봐봐.
What we wanted was the truth. We wanted him to tell us the truth instead of running away like that. Ina bit her lower lip. But he ran away for good. I think this is too much. Did anyone say we wanted him to die? We only asked him to come out. Now it's like he admitted to everything. I mean, you know, unless he got killed, then he didn't admit anything. Somebody killed him to silence him. I mean, really, the only people it could be at this point in time is Ina and Guaihook. Seems like it's more likely to be Ina that's the killer.
틀렸어.
It's pointless. We can't get any answers from him anymore.
뭐?
Don't you think I know that?
야,
I wish I could revive and ask him.
대체?
To tell me the truth. Did anyone say you wanted him to die? We only asked him to come out. Now it's like he admitted to everything. Yeah. Yeah, well. Sale really wasn't that smart of a person.
그거는
He was the one in the dressing room. If he hadn't seen the jacket,
그게
if he had used something else other than the belt and it somehow broke, Ina closed her eyes and moaned. If the shelf caved into his weight and fell down, if the metal hook had bent,
아니야.
this wouldn't have been the end. I thought kissing was going to be the last. Oh no. There's potentially 3 more victims.
볼 것도 없어.
To be honest, I really didn't see the last part. I'm sick of thoughts and explanations from a crook. Unless he confesses to everything and comes clean.
아니야?
A person shouldn't try to blame other people for their crimes or sins. Am I right? Ina wrapped her arm with her hand and asked quietly.
결국
Seal told us nothing until the end.
그래.
Yes, the only thing he left us with was a question mark. I can't understand it. I wouldn't understand it. That's the only way I get to pull myself together. It has to be Ina that killed him. It has to be. Of course, the pride means it's Guaihook. And I'm totally wrong. Or even better, it would be Yu Young. But Yu Young was with us. He said something about me too. Did you see it? He said I just needed to do as he said. I never asked him to make me popular. Ina sagged her shoulders. To be honest, I don't know what to say. To Ina, who read Seal's diary entries, I wonder where she knew Seal's support for her or not. He just wanted to satisfy himself. Yeah, he wanted to prove that he was smarter than Seung-young.
그건
He intervened only for his self-satisfaction. Make me popular? Support me? That's ridiculous.
그게
To be honest, I was curious what you were going to say.
그래.
I agree with you. He tried to control all my actions and followed me around without a word.
아니거든.
He said he did those things for me, but I can't acknowledge it. Nina closed her mouth and fell silent for a moment. It all boils down to his defiance towards Seung-young. He tried to use me as his pawn. He was going to claim that he attacked Hye-sung for me,
아니야.
but I never asked him to invite me into this little power game. The truth? It's just his self-satisfaction. Seal's diary said that he would help Ina to become famous. He seemed to view it as an act of defiance towards Seung-young. Okay, rapport.
한도윤, 내가 잘못한 거야?
난 그런 걸 판단할 자격이 없어.
적어도 해명을 듣길 바랐는데 영원히 달아나 버리는 게 아니라
이런 선택은 생각하지 못했어.
Ina lowered her head.
나 하나도 바뀐 게 없는 건가?
많은 걸 바꿨잖아.
거치야 바꿨지. 사람들 앞에도 나서 봤어. 쇼에서 제안하는 모습을 다 받아들였고 다른 옷 입고 다른 말하고 다른 행동을 했는데 말뚝의 메인 채로 한 바퀴 돌아온 기분이야. 뭔가 바뀐 것처럼 자기를 속이고 있었지만 결국 유피룽한테서 빠져나올 수 없었던 거야. 그 오랜 시간이 지났는데 아직도.
난 피룽이라는 사람 몰라. 오이나밖에 몰라. 전 사람은 모르는 사람이야.
바뀌길 바라면서도 이건 내가 아니라고 생각해. 그럼 진짜 바라던 건 뭐였을까?
한 번에 알 수는 없는 거잖아. 자기 발로 계속 찾아갈 수밖에. 이러는 나도 너랑 다를 거 하나 없어.
Ina let out a deep sigh.
남이 바꿔줄 수는 없었어. 누가 날 바꿔주고 말고 하는 게 아니었는데. 대신 살아주는 것도 아니었고 대신 책임져주는 것도 아니야. 그냥 여기만 아니면 된다면서 도망친 거였나 봐. 이제 와서 여기에서야 이런 생각을 하다니.
곧 나갈 거야. 찾을 수 있겠지. 진실도 갈 길도.
알 수 있는 게 모른다는 것뿐이라니. 이렇게나 오래 힘들게 찾아야 했던 거구나. 수많은 일들 사이에서.
Ina shook her head and whispered to herself. She wanted a clean break from her past and to start over anew, but pressure from others made it impossible. She finally realized that true change comes from within. Photo of Hyesung and Seyoung, 2018-09-15 written on it.
어?
What's this photo?
뭔데?
It's the photo of Seyoung and Hyesung. Was this also part of the investigation? Ina tiredly stared at the photo.
그게
It feels weird to look at them through the photo again. I didn't really like them, but
아니야.
I didn't want to part with them like this.
맞아.
You're right. That's why I'm feeling uncomfortable. We should stop looking at this.
어쨌든
It's very clear he committed a suicide. I even had a thought. I thought that there was a murderer who killed Hyesung and he also killed Seal in the dressing room. Ina slowly shook her head.
그치만
But there was no time. At least two of us kept guard by the dressing room.
그래.
Yes, we all talked to him together for a while before entering the room.
어쨌든
If someone forced himself in, there would have been a struggle. But the dressing room wasn't that easy. but the dressing room wasn't that messy. There's only one answer. I wonder if his voice was recorded on his watch. Somebody just play back the voice. Even though he'd be already dead.
말하자면
The tablet was completely broken.
그랬었지.
The screen had cracks, the battery was swollen, and it wouldn't even turn on.
어쨌든
He broke it after he ran into the dressing room.
그게 아니면
If not, there's no other reason. There was no reason for him to hide his things, and there was no reason for him to run away after spilling his bag.
그렇다면
So the only conclusion we can reach is that he broke it on purpose. I guess so.
아무래도
I guess he wanted to hide something.
그러니까
Even if we couldn't see it, he would have had to reveal it after we got out of here. And he would have had to submit it to the public. He was just trying to avoid the situation at hand. Ina's blue eyes turned dark. I'm almost sad. He could have just shown it to us after deleting what he wanted to hide. What he did was pointless. Ina claimed that the broken but still powered on tablet was intentionally damaged after Seal hid in the dressing room. I mean, it definitely wasn't a smart move on his part just to run away. But, oh well.
그게 아니면
Should I have screamed? You and Yeong went to the stage and I went to the rear door.
혹시
I thought he might try to come out through the rear door. Stared at the door to the staff corridor for a minute. I agonized over whether to say something to him or not. In the end, I said nothing. I closed my eyes and ears and just stood there. Ina. Should I have said something? In the end, I didn't hear anything.
그게
I called out to him when the tremor died out, but there was no answer. When we forced ourselves in, it was already over. There wasn't much time. Ina nodded weakly and continued.
그래.
That's why I feel like my head's about to burst. I was just one step behind. That already happened.
결국
It was too late. No matter how many times we go over it, only regrets await us.
야,
Tell me something I don't know, you fool.
아니야.
I don't want to talk about regrets. We didn't have enough time.
그러면
You and Yoon came back to the corridor and talked to Seal, right?
맞아.
Yeah, he wouldn't budge. That's when the tremor came and you came out of the corridor. When we called him again, there was no answer, and we forced ourselves in. By the way of the dark dressing room. That's where we found him. It happened only a few minutes before.
그래.
Yes, just a few minutes. That's when it happened. They briefly had a scuffle with Seal when Dune and Yeon got back. When things calmed down, they tried to force their way in. They found his body in the dark dressing room.
그게
결국
It's my fault. I stopped the others instead of chasing him.
아니 잠깐.
If we all went and banged on the door, it would have happened sooner. That's how I see it. Ina closed her mouth and sank her head. We didn't have enough time.
그러면
You and Yoon came back to the corridor and talked to Seal, right?
맞아.
Okay. Well, it's between me and her, huh? Well, I'm going to preserve my sanity instead. That was supposed to be the most important thing. And we need to ask the question because we need the keyword. Oh, do you think it's almost the end? I don't know. Maybe.
그게
Yeah. Let's just go with that. She can be mad at us, but I don't want to lose any more of my sanity.
그러니까
WBSN was the name of the broadcasting company. It's WBS now, so it's been a few years. Ina suddenly stared at Dune while mumbling to herself.
Oh?
According to Seal's diary, how long has been working with Sungyun? 4 years?
그랬었지.
I think it was about 4 years.
그래.
Yes, 4 years.
그게
WBSN changed its name to WBS about 3 years ago. Ina tilted her head.
정리하면
B-Star Season 2, where he was eliminated in the preliminaries, was held 4 years ago.
그럼
So he joined the staff immediately after getting eliminated.
그러니까
I guess that's how he got his this business card. He's been in show business for some time now. I can't believe he's still doing background checks. WBSN, printed on Seal's business card, was renamed WBS about 3 years ago. Looks like Seal joined the company about 4 years ago, right after his elimination from B-Star Season 2. It's kind of weird. You know, get eliminated and then you just work for the same company. I mean, I probably wouldn't do that, but that's just me, I guess. I guess it had some kind of meaning. He also had Singyung's business card.
그럴지도.
I just thought it might. I just thought it might since he kept it inside his notebook.
그래.
Yeah, how would we know? Ina nodded and shuddered. We can't even tell truth from lies. It feels like a long time ago when we found Singyung. I'm not even sure if the rescue team is really coming.
괜찮아.
They are making their way in right now.
그래.
Yes, we need to get out of here so that we can learn the details. I hope they hurry up. I'm not go crazy if I had to stay down here much longer. Looks like he's been doing some gathering. Did he really have to work this hard just because Singyung told him to?
그런 거야?
Did he want her approval or just wanted to avoid getting fired? Now that I've seen this far, I'm not really sure. Ina grabbed Dune on the shoulder.
한도윤.
Dune, let's get out of here now. The audition, the discussions, mysteries, it's all over. We need to get away from here. It's not the time to think about why or how he did it. Oh, okay. I got nothing from that. Well, let's not ask that question. All I got was a bad feeling. Okay. Alright, just the one question? Yeah. I didn't get a clear look. I barely managed to keep myself together after Hissing's incident, but I think this is as much as I can bear. Yoon braced herself with both arms and shuddered. He could just pay for his wrongdoings after getting out of here. What we wanted was his confession, not his... I agree that I would have done the same thing. Advised not to think too much. I guess. For her, not to think too much.
아시잖아요.
Why don't you stop thinking and try to relax? Oh.
도윤아,
Dion, how am I supposed to do that? You also keep trying to talk because otherwise you feel nervous, don't you?
저기
Young, if you hyperventilate again,
아니,
it's just hard to accept what already happened. Please bear with me. Oh, I thought for sure she'd be okay with that. I guess you never know. Oh, no. Okay.
네.
I feel the same. I guess I can't stop talking about it because even for me, it's hard to accept what happened.
물론이야.
I think everyone knows that we must stop thinking. That we need to calm down and let the police take care of the rest. My mind knows that, but my heart isn't ready to accept that. Oh, okay. Alright, well, it's good that we reloaded then.
이게 진실인 걸까? 이런 마지막은 절대 바라지 않았어.
Young touched her forehead with her hands through her long hair.
세일이 도망쳐 버린 걸지도 몰라요. 자신이 한 일을 마주보지 못하고서.
어쩌면 그럴지도. 누구나 마주하기 무서운 게 있으니까.
Young raised her head again.
난 마주보기 시작해야겠어. 점점 더 그렇게 생각하게 됐어. 이제 도망 안 가. 날 팔아넘기려고 했던 사람, 다시 모욕한 사람, 누구한테서도 입 다문 채 죽기보단 정면으로 붙어보겠어.
Young shook her head and straightened herself.
멤버들한테도 그때 일을 솔직히 이야기할 거야. 외롭고 힘들었었다고, 미안했다고.
A dim light cast a shadow on the side of Young's face. Young took a step forward.
이상해? 갑자기 이런 말 하니까?
난 대단하다고 생각해요.
You did something I failed to do, Young said to himself.
더 난타당하게 될지도 모르겠어.
어쩌면요.
그치만 이제 방패 대신 창을 잡아볼래.
방패가 창으로 변하고 있다고 했었죠?
맞아. 이제 두 손에 쏙 들어오네. 창. 내가 싸우는 거 지켜봐줬으면 좋겠어. 다음 라운드에선 절대 안 질 테니까.
Young made the best of a desperate situation. She had protected her honor, but suffered for it. She vowed to overcome it once she got out of this mess. Oh, do I see them? Yeah, I mean, I want to see all the conversations, regardless if it does us any good, or if it gives us no choices or not. I mean, it's more like filling in the rest of the story. I mean, at least that's how I feel about it. I'm sorry, but I can't really talk about that. I can't even bear to see it, okay?
괜찮아요.
I shouldn't have said that. It's okay. Young took a deep breath with a worried look on her face. I thought he got angry and ran away because he wanted to survive.
분명해.
I was sure of it.
모르겠어.
Then how should we interpret this situation? A result of his despair or confession? My thought was way off the mark. I was completely wrong.
왜일까?
How did he think of using the belt? He probably happened to see it hanging there. It was always hanging there.
아마도
Maybe...
역시
But something bothers me. Seal barely came to the dressing room.
아무래도
We mostly used it, and the stylists.
그러고 보니
It wasn't long before we entered the room after we talked to Seal.
그때
During that short period of time, he found the belt and hung himself. Young put her hands on her chest and took short, deep breaths. Easy, Young. Catch your breath first.
그래.
Oh, yes, I'm doing that. It will all come out in the wash after the police investigation. Yeah, and I am playing blind, so I don't know what questions or answers I need to I need to do. I've actually tried to look at somebody with a walkthrough, but there aren't any walkthroughs in English. And for whatever reason, a lot of people aren't playing this game. I'm not really sure why that is. I think it's really good. But, you know, I just haven't seen a lot of other videos on YouTube or Twitch.
그러고 보니
The last page.
글쎄요.
I think he gave up in despair.
그래.
He was having severe mood swings.
아무래도
It was the last entry in his notebook, and I don't think his emotion ended there. Young stopped herself and let out a sigh. I should stop comparing his situation with my experience.
그런가요?
Your experience? What kind of...
그게
When I was away from this industry, I wrote in my diary whenever I had a hard time.
확실히
If someone read it, they would have thought I was very depressed. And if I had done something bad to myself, they would have regarded my diary as a suicide note. Young shook her head as if to shake off bad thoughts.
난
Only the last page of Seal's diary was crumpled. I thought he did that to overcome his painful feelings on that day. But in the end, it really happened. Yeah, it is kind of suspicious. It doesn't really seem like a suicide. But again, that just leaves Ina and Kwaihok, of which Ina seems like the most likely killer, if there is a killer.
결국
He wanted to hide his mind till the end? The hatred against Seung and himself.
생각해봐.
Every time he tried to do something, he always took a step back and gave up. And the collapse and unexpected events followed. Young stopped there and closed her mouth.
결국
I might have done something that cannot be undone. That's the truth we've learned so far.
그치만
But I keep having doubts somewhere deep inside my head.
그럴까?
Is this real? Is this really the end? We can no longer hear Seal's explanation. We should have stopped him from running away. Oh no, he's a fast runner. I don't think anybody could have stopped him.
그건
The photo with the date on it. Those in the photo and the one who took the photo are all gone now.
도대체
Can you believe that everything happened in just a few hours? Yoon closed her eyes and fell silent.
난
What was going on in the scene and why the photo was taken don't matter now. Was it also part of the background check?
그럼
That means Seal tailed Seung too.
그러니까
That's what I'm saying. I'm getting scared of digging for the truth now. I mean, he just wanted to prove that he was talented and that Seung was wrong. So,
그나마
it was messy, but not as messy as we thought it would be. Seal was the only person in the dressing room.
아무래도
Maybe the room got messy because of the tremor that occurred before we entered the room.
그게
Or he was struggling at the end and Yoon covered her face behind her long hair.
아시잖아요.
The rescue team will arrive here soon. We need to pull ourselves together until then.
알아.
I know,
그치만
but it just happened right before my eyes. I just can't let the thought go away. Or I just can't let the thoughts go away. Oh, we got nothing out of that, damn it. I thought she was going to give me a keyword for that one. That seemed like it was going to lead to something. Well.
아무래도
We couldn't check his tablet.
그래요.
It didn't even turn on.
분명히
I saw the swollen battery.
어?
Swollen?
생각해봐.
Yes, the device was swollen and the screen was broken. If the device is swollen, you can consider it as totally broken. When was it broken exactly? Any way to turn it on?
어때요?
Is there any way to turn on the device? By the look of it, it doesn't look that damaged. Ah,
아니지.
you're right. Unless an expert repairs it.
내 생각엔
Considering the degree of swelling, it must have been broken a long time ago.
그런가요?
How long?
분명해.
At least a few days ago. At least before we wound up here. Young put her hand on her sweaty forehead.
그러면
So why was he carrying it?
이거면
Why did he try to hide it? And why did he run away after some things were revealed?
모르겠어.
We'll never know why. What I know is that the device was broken a long time ago. Young checked the broken tablet and said it was broken a long time ago, considering the cracked display and swollen battery. I don't know what they mean by swollen battery. Does it mean the battery leaked? It's the only thing I can think of. Oh, did I hit save? Damn it. Oh well, we'll take the hit. We can afford one or two bad answers.
그나마
It was messy, but not as messy as we thought it would be. Oh yeah, I don't want to do this one. No. You can tell I'm getting tired. But most of you that watch this are not my time zone, so I'm trying to stay up a little bit later for people to watch it. We shouldn't have been looking for other solutions.
확실히
We should have stayed by the door and kept talking to him.
아니.
No, maybe we should have forced the door open. Young mumbled to herself with a confused look on her face.
아시잖아요.
Young, we were looking for solutions one at a time. We went to look for the master key because we thought it would be dangerous to force ourselves in.
그치만
But
저기
I kept thinking about other possibilities too. But at the end of the day, I ended up blaming myself for the others.
아니야.
I'm trying not to hold any one of us responsible for Seal's death.
알아.
I know, even if you go over what we could have done to prevent his death, nothing really changes. Nobody wanted this tragedy. We couldn't persuade him right away. I mean, who was the one that suggested that there was even a master key? I guess that was Gwaihuk. So, I mean, if Gwaihuk already found the key, he could have went into the room and killed Seal. I guess that's possible. Seems more likely that Ina went in the back door and killed him.
그때
He was alive behind the door. He really was. We talked. I asked questions and he answered. But
혹시나
then,
했는데
in an instant, paused for a minute and covered her mouth.
괜찮아요?
You okay, Young?
어
Just a little dizzy, but okay now. Young raised her head while taking a deep breath.
도대체
Yoon, what do we have to do to stop him? I don't know. It pains me every time I think about another possibility. I'm not sure how I should organize my thoughts. Oh, wow. Didn't really get a keyword out of that. I know, I thought it also would have been funny if Young killed him, but she was with us, so she's off the list of suspects.
왜였을까?
He had his old business card with him. It had the floor director title printed on it, so he must have received it when he became a full-time worker. Young briefly stared at the logo on the business card.
그러고 보니
How long did they work together? For 4 years? He had been dealing with those self-destructive thoughts for that period, I guess.
아마도
I don't think he felt that way from the beginning.
그래.
Yes, everyone feels fresh in the beginning. Although we'll never get to hear what he felt like in the beginning. Okay. Well, I never really liked him anyway.
모르겠어.
Why even bother to obtain our consent if they're going to just keep digging?
그래요.
Actually, their privacy policy didn't mean anything. The contract only contained a clause to obtain our consent.
분명해.
It's literally unfair. Young stared at the far corner of the corridor with a bitter look on her face. Do you think it was the same for the staff who did background checks? Possibly being forced to do background checks? Yeah, they knew.
글쎄요.
The staff were probably an exception.
결국
They are all in this together, after all.
그치만
What about Seal's diary?
그럴까?
Did he portray themselves as a team?
아니요.
Not really. Theon thought about Seal's diary again.
아무래도
It looked like the staff were forced to do the background checks. B-Stars terminated its contracts with the background check agencies. It's clear they continued the background checks internally. The feelings of embarrassment and anger from Seal's diary. He didn't conduct the background checks voluntarily.
그래.
He felt a sense of shame while trying to justify his actions by saying that he was only following orders.
결국
His depression continued. Then, triggered by the collapse here, he ended his own life. After terminating contracts with the background check agency, Seung forced her staff, including Seal, to complete the background checks. Normal people aren't good at this sort of thing, though. Go around and ask about stuff, I mean...
아무래도
Maybe he was forced to conduct the background checks. Seal's diary proves it.
맞아.
You're right. You saw how scared and desperate he was. B-Stars terminated its contracts with the background check agencies. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is all the same. I think the rest of these drop her mood, right? That's what I want to say. They do nothing for us. Oh, well, never mind. That was new. Okay, I hadn't asked that question before. To the story of the old program where Seung achieved a big success by background checking others. Ask about below. The tradition of background checks started from here, I guess. I guess so.
그렇다는 건
I guess the background check tradition began at that point. Even after joining B-Star, she maintained her style.
분명해.
Maybe for Seung, it was guaranteed formula for success. And we were the variables. Young shook her head bitterly.
일단은
Another producer is still running the program.
그래서
Even after joining B-Star, she maintained her style. Say that again. Huh? But it's not as popular as when Seung used to be the producer, though. Do you think they all talk about us on the news? Scoop was a celebrity news show produced by Seung 4 years ago. Her aggressive coverage brought her huge success and made her a star. Seal joined her around this time. Okay, let me load that again so we can get the conversation. For some reason, I thought we already asked that question.
그러고 보니
He also had Seung's old business card.
그런가요?
The same TV program which Seal had worked on. She was a producer even back then.
도윤아,
Does the name of the TV program ring a bell?
글쎄요.
Scoop enter behind? I think I saw a news article about it, but I don't know much about it. Young briefly stared at the logo on the business card.
그건
That's the TV program that made Seung famous. It was a celebrity tabloid TV show.
어?
Tabloid show?
그렇지.
She was notorious for her persistent and aggressive coverage. They chose proactive items and achieved great success. Okay, so we got the rest of that. Alright. Alright, you better give us some good news here.
그랬나?
There were wounds at the tip of his fingers.
혹시
Wasn't already there? Or maybe he got the wounds while digging through the debris.
아니었어.
I didn't see it before. Boyhook hesitantly opened his mouth.
그렇다면
Maybe he held onto the belt around his neck. Again, very common. Maybe he decided to take his own life, but later regretted his decision. Also very common.
나는
I have no way of knowing.
그럴 거야.
It's the same for everyone here. You need to stop empathizing. It's too dangerous. Calm down. Yeah, almost everybody has the reaction because dying is very painful. As soon as pain hits the body, you want it to stop.
도윤아,
Ian, you need to pull yourself together.
괜찮아.
I'm fine. Something's just been bothering me.
그게
The wound went around his neck like a circle.
혹시
Did you look that closely?
무리야.
Don't overdo it, Ian. Seal didn't die because of you. No need to punish yourself. I know, but I need to think.
도윤아,
Ian, you need to focus. You need to get out of here, physically and mentally. He doesn't want to think about it.
그건
The jacket that the belt was pulled out from. It was mine. He used that too. Boyhood quietly sank his head.
솔직히
If you look around, it sticks out immediately. The jacket was always hanging over there. It was impulsively done, or not sure if he did it at his own will. I'll say impulsively. He acted impulsively. Clothing always hanging by the wall caught his eye, and he pulled out the belt too.
그랬지.
The door was about to burst open. He looked around and found the belt from the jacket that was always hanging by the wall. Did he use a piece of my clothing because he wanted to send me a message?
도윤아,
Dian, it was just hanging there.
아니야.
It wasn't meant for him to use. Koiho gently grabbed Dian on the shoulder. You need to pull yourself together. Oh, okay, I have to ask this one. Since the leather jacket was hanging in the dressing room, anyone could easily find it. The same goes for the belt. Well, what is the other result if I use that? The neck was clean. Yeah, he had another bruise on there. Oh. Okay, so what if I say something else? Not sure if he did it at his own will. Did he really do that to himself? Did he run away to survive? Why? Or didn't he run away to survive? Yeah. Goya quietly bit his lips.
아무래도
I think he acted on impulse. The door was about to burst open.
그럴 거야.
He looked around and found the belt and from the jacket that was always hanging by the wall. Is that it? No, I don't care if his mood drops. I just don't want mine to drop. Oh, hey! Oh, we get this. Alright, well, that was important.
형, 괜찮아?
넌 어때? 많이 놀랐을 텐데.
사실 혼란스러워.
조금만 참아. 마음을 가라앉히고.
알겠어. 형도.
네가 괜찮아야 나도 괜찮아져.
Goya moved closer and patted Duyun on the shoulder.
내 얘길 이만큼 한 사람. 너
Goya raised his tilted head.
참 이상하지? 여태 안 했던 얘긴데.
이런 때라 할 수 있는 얘기였을지도 몰라.
Goya shook his head, then looked at Duyun again.
너여서 할 수 있었어. 무너질 때 구해주지 않았다면 아무 말도 아무것도 못한 채로 끝났을 거야.
Goya paused momentarily. His wandering eyes were fixed on Duyun again.
혼자 남았을 때 목소리가 말을 걸었어. 어딘가 날 끌고 들어가려는 소리. 엮이는 모두를 불행에 몰아넣고 혼자 남을 거라는. 그때 가장 간절한 건 사람이었어. 형제를 바란 건지도 몰라. 둘이었음 헤매는 시간이 더 짧지 않았을까?
혼자 보내는 시간도 쓸모없는 건 아니야.
그치만 길고 힘들었으니까. 난 그렇게 심지가 굳은 사람이 못 되거든.
그런 사람이 서바이벌 오디션에서 여기까지 와? 난 그대로도 괜찮다고 생각해.
Goya squinted under the blurred lights.
너도야. 주변 얘긴 신경 끄고 자길 믿어. 이상하네. 이런 말 전엔 못했던 건데.
Goya raised his head again.
도윤아, 무슨 일이 있어도 널 밖으로 보낼 거야. 무사히.
남 보내고 말고 할 때는 아니지. 다 나.
그래. 우린 곧 여기서 나갈 거야.
His life had been bittersweet and he longed for love from his family. Duyun's had saved his life, so he was determined to get him out of here safely. Now he sounds like Plughole. But he can't be Plughole.
뭐랄까.
You read it, right? He was angry, disappointed, and had expectations.
결국
But in the end, he gave himself up in despair. Duyun thought about the page of the notebook. That he'll be swayed by empty dreams and continue to commit sins. Impressions after... We're not so different from him. But we still should... Well, I guess we're not so different from him? I don't know.
결국
We're probably doing the same thing. getting swayed by empty dreams and continuing with our sins.
무리하지 마.
Dion, that diary contains his suicide note.
안 되겠어.
Try not to think about it too much. Koyhook looked down at his hands. Seal sank deeper into a feeling of despair as the show went on.
그러니까.
His dark actions were revealed and he decided to take his own life.
그치만
You and the other guys shouldn't do that. You don't have to. Koyhook raised his head and shook it. Are we doing the same thing? No, we're not. Look the other way. You must. Seal wrote down his feelings of despair, depression, and desperation on the last page of his diary. It somewhat read like a will. I mean, I don't know if I really agree with that. Although when people write suicide notes, they're not always very straightforward. Most of the time they are, though. Most of the time people are very straightforward when they write their suicide notes.
그래도
But he shouldn't have run away, throwing away his own life like this.
그치만
There were several chances to turn things around. Koyhook slowly nodded. And each time, I wasn't being honest.
그럴까?
What Seal wrote in his notebook probably reflects his true thoughts.
도윤아,
Doon, don't go too deep.
어쩌면
That diary that diary entry was a suicide note. Okay, that's all normal. The notebook.
결국
So, the notebook was his diary after all.
그럴까?
This is probably what he wanted to hide.
어쩌면
Maybe. There was something else, but he destroyed it. Koyhook quietly looked around the dressing room. For now, we are only aware of the outcome. He ran here, and this is how it ended. Since Seal decided to keep his mouth shut, all other theories are just wild speculation.
그게
He must have had a reason for carrying that photo. A secretly taken photo of Seung and Hyesung? Koyhook slowly continued while looking at Doon, who remained quiet.
아무래도
I think the two of them had a relationship beyond what we know.
솔직히
I also saw them meeting each other in private. He has seen the producer and Hyesung meet in private. At the time, they weren't just the producer and contestant. Doon caught his breath. You saw them together? Why are you mentioning it now? Why are you telling me this now?
그건
I only saw them together, and that was it.
그리고
And Hyesung's behavior today, and the photo left by Seal, I reached this conclusion based on 3 clues.
아
You know what? There's actually one more. Koyhook briefly fell silent.
나도
I also received an unusual offer. She asked me out.
그랬지.
She said I would receive better treatment and more of the spotlight during the audition.
그치만
It was around the middle of the preliminaries, and of course I rejected her offer. From that moment on, she began to treat me differently.
혹시
Yeah, of course. You mean you suffered from evil edits after that talk?
그래.
Yeah, it happened sometime after that. She approached Koyhook in the middle of the preliminaries, but he refused her.
어쨌든
What we can guess is that a similar conversation went on between Hyesung and Seung. I don't think Hyesung rejected her offer. I think their relationship went on at least until his past was revealed. Seung and Hyesung's relationship seemed to be something more than just business. She had also apparently approached Koyhook in the past. I mean, I think Seung is attractive. I would have went for it even if she didn't give any bonuses. Say, do you want to? Yes. Oh, but I'll give you better. I don't care. Did Seal investigate that much?
그런
Did Seal investigate that as well?
그렇다는 건
Since Seung was also involved, I guess Seal did it on his own.
맞아.
He was probably thinking of exposing it when he couldn't bear her anymore.
결국
Sniping both Hyesung and Seung with one lethal shot.
그땐
The date on the photo is September 15th,
그건
near the end of the preliminaries. Now, those in the photo and the one who took it are all gone. Yep, secret relationship. Oh, if we answer that way, then he doesn't... We get 2 clues if we answer it the other way. Okay, so really, that really was the better decision. Of course, he could be lying, saying that he saw them together. Yeah, interesting. Maybe that plays a part later if we're doing the final evaluation. Oh, that's okay. He fully trusts me. I can get one question wrong, I think. Unless this game punishes you for getting anything wrong. It's a little messy, but it's not as bad as when we first came in.
결국
Does this mean he did take his own life? That's not a proof of suicide.
아닌 것 같아.
We can't be sure of it. Oh, you don't like that?
그렇다면
Does that mean someone attacked Seal too? But we were all around.
그건
That's impossible. Kohyuk slowly nodded.
그랬지.
Seal made a mistake and he chose to run away instead of confessing it and taking responsibility. You might think I'm trying to match the evidence with the conclusion, but this is what I believe. At least we should be able to keep everyone that remains sane. I don't know. That must be proof. We'll just say yes.
그럴지도.
That might be true.
만약에
If something else happens, the place should be messier. Kohyuk slowly nodded.
그건
The place is not that messy.
아무래도
Is it because Seal was feeling agitated when he first entered? Maybe he bumped into something or caused a riot. Kohyuk checked Diyun's face.
그랬지.
Seal made a mistake. Oh yeah, that's fine. Okay. So the tablet was broken a long time ago. So there's no way that he could have communicated with either people inside or the outside world. So Ina's theory about him contacting what's his face? Hyesung wouldn't have worked because he had no way to contact him. The tablet wouldn't turn on.
그랬어.
I think it was broken. The exterior was damaged and the device was swollen.
막연해.
When you think it was broken?
아마도
Maybe he said he didn't have the device because it was broken in the first place.
그치만
But Diyun? In that case, people usually say the device is broken. They don't say that there's no device.
결국
The police will check what's on that tablet. But I don't think they will let us. I don't think they'll tell us. We might never know what's on it. It's true, yeah. You don't say, if something's broken, you just say it's broken. You don't say it doesn't exist. Obviously, he didn't want us to know about it.
도인아,
Probably because, he's taking, panty pics of of Ina, yeah. Diyun, he looked really upset. Makes me think, I should have moved quickly. Before Seal decided to take his own life.
몰랐어.
Nobody thought this was going to happen.
어쩌면
Even Seal probably had no idea about this outcome. Couldn't we be more persuasive? Responsible for leaving this situation? I don't know. It's not really our fault. Couldn't we be more persuasive?
그러면
Then we might have been able to do something to... then we might have been able to somehow stop him from...
도윤아,
Dion, Seal refused to talk until the end.
그래도
But
나도야.
I'm the one who was helpless while standing in front of the door. I sent you and Yi-Young to the stage for the master key, and I just waited there even after Ina went to the rear door. In the end, the only thing we could do was take a risk and lunge at the door. Wahek stared at Dion with a grim look on his face.
그렇다면
I'm the one who failed to persuade him.
아니었어.
Wahek, that's not what I wanted to hear from you. I'm sorry. I'll try to calm down. So you take your time organizing your thoughts, but don't blame yourself. After confronting Seal, Dion and Yi-Young went to the stage to find a master key. In the meantime, Ina and Koiho kept an eye on the front and back doors. Seems like that wasn't really the right answer, huh? God, I hope this last part isn't hard, or I don't know if it's the last part. There may be like 2 other chapters for all I know. I mean, I hope it's not too hard, though. I don't want to spend all night trying to guess at stuff. I'm clearly responsible for this situation. I could have changed the outcome. Koiho shook his head firmly.
그치만
You chose the way that was less dangerous. Taking a leap at the door was your final decision, and you even took the risk.
그래도
But
나도
I'm the one who was... Okay, that's normal stuff there. Alright. What are we getting here?
아마
Maybe he thought he could change things and was waiting for his imminent doom.
어쩌면
Singing might have protected Seal.
그치만
After all, he was following her order, but she's not here. If everything had been revealed, his career would have been in jeopardy. I think he only worked as a staff member after joining B-Stars.
그래서
That's why he chose such extreme measures?
그건
I can only imagine. Koichik slowly opened his eyes. When you're in despair, your thoughts can wander.
결국
Seal envied and hated Singyung. He left her and fell into disarray because he followed her order. In the end, he probably chose to follow her. Okay.
그건
He had his old business card.
그러면
That and his diary in the notebook were his only belongings. Did it have an important meaning?
혹시
Why do you think he carried it with him? Not to forget his past. Proof of Singyung's recognition. Maybe that's it?
아무래도
It probably shows that Singyung recognized him for his performance. One was Singyung's, 2 old business cards for the same program. What?
아니었어.
What awaited him at the end were reckless background checks and exploitation. Their relationship was doomed. Koichuk, of course he didn't know how this would have ended. Koichuk held Dion by his arm while he was sinking his head.
도윤아,
Dion, don't let the thought consume you.
무리하지 마.
Stop blaming yourself. Everyone's in the same place. You need to pull yourself together. No, well, I didn't think it would be that big of a deal to make that. That's a seriously wrong answer. Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah. Oh, wait, that just gave me a negative? Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. Okay, don't ask that question then. Guess I wasn't paying attention. As always. So no on that. Yes on that. Not to forget his past.
아마도
Do you think he wanted to remember the past? The business card was quite old.
그랬나?
Like trying to remember your first performance? It's old, but it had Seal's name on it. I think it was his first TV show.
그때
I guess he wasn't expecting this kind of end back then. Guohyuk grabbed Duyun's arm.
도윤아,
Duyun, what everyone wanted was his explanation.
무리하지 마.
Stop blaming yourself. Everyone's in the same place.
아무래도
It only proves that Seung and Seal were in this together.
그런 것 같다.
If you see the diary, it's been over several years.
그런 거면
And Seung asked him to conduct the background checks. Guohyuk blurted it out with a grim look on his face.
그리고
Seal came back to B-Stars even after he was eliminated in the preliminaries. How do you think he felt while digging up dirt on contestants?
그랬지.
He was clearly angry,
그치만
but he successfully completed the given task. Maybe the relationship between Seal and Seung was that of love and hate. Well, I think it was at least for Seal, although I'm not sure about Seung. Yeah, I mean, that's true. They definitely hated each other, but needed each other.
솔직히
It didn't have to be the show. He could have leaked the info here and there to create issues. Or they could have released the news article via Phater or other media.
그건
It's not so different from what Seung did.
그렇다면
We had to face him every day when he was doing this kind of work.
대체
I wonder what his thoughts were when he was looking at us. Seal and Seung. Neither of them are here now. Guohyuk nodded slowly. His wandering eyes turned to Diyun again. We'll never get to hear it from him. But still, I'm just really curious. Okay, that should be it. Now we'll see if they gave us, like, the hardest conclusion or not. So, let's see what happens. Well, that goes about as well as it can, I think. His head was about to burst. I'm a bit worried. Transfer keeps failing.
플러그홀.
A dry voice emerged from his parched lips. I don't know how far you want to dig into. To be honest, from here, I don't know what's really happening in there. Don't look only at people's reaction, but also at the clues and review the whole thing again. I'm not sure this message will reach you. Just hang in there. The clues.
결론까지도.
Feeling someone's gaze, Diyun turned around while mumbling to himself.
이젠 다 끝난 거 맞지? 세일이 서해선 그렇게 하고 궁지에 몰려서 저런 걸로. 달리 생각할 여지 이젠 없어.
As she finished talking, she quietly bit her lip.
이젠 어쩔 수 없다고 생각해.
그대로 받아들이긴 힘든 얘기지만
Young's face was pale and Guohyuk stepped in to help her. Diyun was now the only one whining and who couldn't accept the reality. Oh, they both know it isn't. Did Seal really kill Hyusung? Did Seal take his own life? Oh no, I didn't want to do that, damn it. I'm still thinking about it.
그만하자. 어쩔 수 없는 거야.
도윤아, 이제 무대로 돌아가자.
Well, which one did it pick? Did it pick the... Young slowly walked towards Dune and grabbed his arm. Her pale complexion blocked his view.
나도 인정하기 힘들어. 그치만 앞으로는 정말 경찰의 일이야.
누나,
Dune asked himself over and over. He wanted to stop grilling everyone, including himself. Dune let out a ruffled sigh. They were right. He had done his best. He had no more strength to cling onto it. Seal despised Hyesung. Seal murdered Hyesung, and who had tried to find an unusual way to survive the auditions. Seal locked himself in the dressing room when his crimes and past were about to be exposed. At the edge of fear and despair, he chose to take his own life. This was what had really happened. Everyone saw, experienced, and justified it. This was a truth everyone wanted to believe. Dune weakly lowered his head.
그래, 맞아.
I mean, are they actually different answers? Because it was the same text. But, I don't know.
세일이가 분장실에 혼자 있었던 건 분명한 사실이야. 어떤 의혹도 그걸 뒤집을 순 없어. 내가 너무 내 생각에만 빠져 있었어.
The storm of thoughts began to die down. Everyone moved closer to Dune. Young patted his shoulder gently.
결국 이 안에선 알 수 없을 거란 생각이 들어. 한시라도 빨리 나가고 싶은 것뿐일지도 모르지만.
누나, 이렇게 끝나는 게 맞을까요?
Young silently met Dune's eyes.
끝인지는 아무도 몰라. 지금이 역부족일 뿐이야. 다른 진실이 있다면 언젠가 드러나게 될 거야. 우린 그때까지 각자의 싸움을 하면 돼. 넌 오명에 대해서, 난 싸우겠다고 결심한 그거에 대해서.
각자의 싸움.
적어도 자기의 진실은 스스로가 잘 알고 있으니까.
고개 숙이지 마. 지금까지 포기하지 않았잖아.
형, 끝난 걸까? 모든 게 이걸로?
Boyhood silently stared at Dune.
널 괴롭히는 질문에 시달릴 필요 없어. 날 봐. 이렇게 너랑 얘기하는 거 네가 구해준 덕분이야. 누구한테도 못했던 내 얘기도 너한테는 할 수 있었어. 이젠 내 차례야. 나가면 모두한테 말할 거야. 네가 정말로 어떤 사람인지. 지금은 그것만 생각해.
거울 있으면 보라고 했을 거야. 네 얼굴 완전 시커매졌어.
Ina put her hand on Dune's shoulder.
차라리 나처럼 생각해버려. 다들 죗값을 치른 거라고. 피디님? 무대를 무너지게 방치하고 다른 사람들을 쥐어짰어. 서혜성은 거기 붙어서 같은 급이라도 되는 듯이 남을 협박했고, 세일이는 피디님한테 부역하다 감정에 휩쓸려서 일을 저질렀어.
단정 짓는 거야? 그걸로 괜찮아?
난 그 사람을 감방에 쳐넣고서 알았어. 여지를 주면 반성은 없어. 늦을수록 고통스럽기만 해. 놓치고만 때를 곱씹으면서 계속 후회하게 된다고. 이게 내 생각이야.
At that moment, there was a roaring sound in the distance. And the entire corridor began to shake.
지금까지랑 달라. 조심해.
Oh. Did they all die anyway?
도윤아.
난 괜찮아. 누나랑 이나는
우린 여기 있어. 또 점점 더 세져. 아예 무너지려는 건가?
Boyhood grabbed Dune on the shoulder.
도윤아, 무대로 돌아가자.
그래. 무대로.
Suddenly, his legs gave out. Boyhood helped him up.
정신 차려.
알겠어. 이제 괜찮아.
Boyhood stared at Dune nervously.
도윤아, 세일이 무대로 옮겨갈 수 있겠어? 그냥 두면 여기 파묻혀 버릴지도 몰라. 난 혜성이한테 갈게.
Oh, great. Dune recovered his senses and nodded.
두 사람 먼저 무대로 가세요. 구조대에 연락해 보시고요.
So is he really the murderer? He's asking this. He's separating us.
무대에서 보자. 조심해.
Boyhood quickly disappeared. Dune also leapt into the dressing room. I thought for sure it would be Ina. Oh man. Dune panted heavily, running towards Seal. He lifted Seal's body from the belt. It was heavy. Seal had looked so light when he was alive. It was the full weight of a person. Dune pulled the body off the belt. Dune put Seal's cold arms around his shoulders.
됐어. 무대로 가자.
Dune carefully headed to the door while trying not to lose balance. I mean, why would it matter if he took him with him? Upon reaching the stage, Dune laid Seal on his back. Hazy lights illuminated Seal's discolored face.
너만 왔어? 기억이는?
여기 있어요.
Boyhood quit hissing down and walked towards Dune.
도윤아, 잘 왔어?
여기 와서 구조대 연락 받았어. 통로로 오는데 실패해서 천장 쪽으로 들어온대.
Ah, great.
금방 온댔어. 조금만 개기면. 아이씨, 개 놀랐네.
The door to the central corridor disappeared behind the wreckage. Ina cursed at the ceiling.
구조하겠다는 거야, 묻어버리겠다는 거야. 믿어야 돼. 미쳐버리겠다 진짜.
Ina put her arm around Yi-young and curled herself up. Under such great strain and lingering anxiety, they had lost track of time.
머리 조심해. 위험해.
Dune snatched Ina by the collar. A large steel frame came down crashing to the floor.
고맙다.
점점 더 쏟아져.
위를 봐. 빛이야.
With that, the ceiling came down. Is it really the end? It doesn't feel like the end. And yes, we'll go back and make the other choice too. I'm not sure how much it'll change, or if it'll change anything.
물러서세요. 건물 파편이 떨어집니다.
Ian plopped down onto the ground as her legs gave way. Ian lowered his head. The watches flickered with a torrent of incoming messages and replies. He closed his eyes. It felt like he was caught in a nightmare, where the killing was still going on.
남았어.
Ian raised his head and saw Ina.
살아남았어. 우린 살았다고.
그래, 이제 끝났어.
이대로 된 걸까? 정말 이걸로? 언니, 우리가 이겼어. 살았으니까 이긴 거라고.
Ina sounded as if she was casting a spell on herself. He felt extremely fatigued, as if he had run at full speed. There's nothing he can do. He just has to face what's in front of him. This will never end. A flood of tears gushed out. Out of indignation or sadness? Ian himself wasn't certain. He stood amongst the ruins under the thin light crying. One month later. Ian stood by the long corridor. Late afternoon sunlight shined through the window. Oh, okay. So no big deal if I chose the other one. He watched the clouds float by slowly. A month had passed since the accident. Buried Stars, the Survival Audition show, was to be continued. Haha, great. The stage collapse, casualties, suicide, disciplinary actions against the officials, and investigation. The unprecedented bedlam put the program at the center of national attention. Seal's suicide. The police determined that he had taken his own life as a way of escape after his crimes were revealed. The unfortunate story of Seung Shin was presented as the tragedy of a genius producer. WBS didn't miss this golden opportunity. WBS declared the continuation of the show. To keep the dream alive for the deceased contenders, the viewers responded ardently.
이 정도면 잘 처리된 거지? 다 용의자 취급당하고 싶어? 이쯤에서 정리해. 어렵지 않잖아.
Ian decided not to join the show. He could no longer participate in the show. More importantly, he didn't want to. The protection measure and interrogation also ended by that time. he couldn't get in touch with Plughole anymore, who had been sending various messages until the rescue team came. A month had passed since the rescue. He could finally walk the corridor by himself without any help. After recovery, Young sued the CEO of her former agency and the entrepreneur who had tried to solicit her. The ex-members of Beloved began to voice their own opinions regarding the matter. Although some were not favorable to her, most people supported her brave decision. However, there was a rumor that most agencies were hesitant to sign her, which would be true. That would exactly what would happen. She'd be blacklisted. They were trying to ditch this whistleblower, but Young didn't give up. She decided to join the 5th season of Buried Stars, which was scheduled to resume soon. The crowd applauded her unyielding spirit that still shone through the tragic accident and the collusion of many agencies.
그게 네 선택이라면 어쩔 수 없지. 그래도 괜찮아?
네. 오디션에는 이제 안 가요. 그리고 솔직히 영희 누나랑 붙어서 이기고 올라갈 자신도 없거든요.
한도윤 다 나았네. 상황 파악도 잘 되고.
사이즈 나왔죠. 아시잖아요. 제가 또 판단력 하나는 먹어주는 거. 누나 같은 용기 저한테는 없으니까요.
The two of them fell silent for a moment. The murder at the scene. The others who couldn't make it out of there were still vivid in his mind.
그래, 조금 아쉽네. 네가 뭘 선택하든 응원할게.
Young stared at Yoon for a moment. Her eyes were kind. Yoon choked up when their eyes met. He should thank her.
도윤아, 고맙단 말을 해야겠어. 같이 거길 빠져나오면서 날 괴롭혔던 것들과 싸울 마음이 생겼거든.
She thanked him. He should thank her.
간지럽게 왜 그러세요? 붕대하는 긁지도 못하거든요.
젓가락 같은 걸로 어떻게 안 돼?
그럼 밥은 뭘로 먹어요?
Young smiled and lowered her eyes.
우리 다시 볼 수 있지?
저 아무데도 안 가요. 아니지. 아직 아무데도 못 가요.
She picked up her bag that was sitting next to the bed. Young turned around at the door.
투표 해줄 거지?
병원 사람들 것까지 다 밀어줄 테니까 걱정일랑 마세요. 자, 누나. 얼른 가서 다 제껴버려요.
She sued the person related and disclosed the reason why she had to leave the team. The agencies ignored her and the public sentiment wasn't positive, but she didn't care. She was determined to join the new season of the audition and go all the way this time. She smiled and walked out the door. Yoon prayed for Young to achieve her dreams. Ina decided to drop out of the audition after getting out of the hospital, because she wanted to get some rest in a quiet environment.
붕대 감고 난리가 났네. 미라야?
렌즈 뺐네. 파란 눈은 포기?
Ina blinked.
카메라 앞에 설 일도 없고 이제 생긴 대로 살 거야. 솔직히 렌즈 낄 때마다 눈알 빠지는 줄 알았어.
오디션 접었으면 이젠 뭐 할 거야?
또 바뀌어야지. 내가 진짜 바라는 모양으로.
Ina's confident eyes began to lose their edges.
사실 아직도 자주 떠올라. 구조되기 전에 마지막으로 있었던 일. 죽은 사람들.
The murder at the scene. After mentally shaken a countless number of times, they barely made it out of the hell. At the question if she was going back to Busan, Ina shook her head.
거긴 내 집이지. 근데 또 하고 싶은 게 생겼어.
뭔가 찾아낸 거야?
나 무대 체질인 게 아니라 무대가 좋았던 거였어. 공부를 해보고 싶어졌어. 무대에 대해서. 도망치느라 공부랑은 담을 쌓아버렸던 거 있지?
Ina stopped talking for a moment.
이런 마당에 뭐 덕담해줄 건 없냐?
As Dean pondered what to say, Ina scratched her neck.
왜 멍 때려? 내 미모에 영혼을 상실했어?
방금 말에 어의를 상실했지. 덕담하고 말 게 뭐 있어. 네가 바라는 대로 잘 되겠지. 스스로 찾아낸 일이잖아.
그래 씨부릴 줄 알았다.
Ina turned around near the door.
돌아올 거지? 무대로.
갑자기 인터뷰 모드야?
널 위한 무대 내가 까리하게 만들어줄게. 울적하다고 잠수 타고 그러지 말기다.
내가 다른 뭘 할 수 있겠어.
그래서 얘기하는 거야. 그래서. 퇴원 기다릴게.
She started to study performance production after discovering she was interested in it, but not all of her problems have been solved. She's still trying to find the best way forward. Yeah, she's definitely my favorite character, even more so than Dune. Just like that, Mina was gone, and she was forgotten from people's memory. Dune sometimes thought of her last remark when he saw her last time. He wondered if he would ever get to stand on one of Ina's stages. His heart began to race whenever he pictured that day in his mind. Seal's notebook was released to the media to stir up the community. The background check, exploitation, and the staff member who was harassed but mesmerized at the same time. There was an article about a publishing company contacting the family of the deceased. The company wanted to publish a book based on their story, and the notebook in particular. The publication of the book was making steady progress while feeding people's criticism and curiosity. One day, Dion recollected a moment he had with Seal.
저기 제가 설 수 있을 거라고 생각한 때도 있었는데.
Seal had blurted it out while watching a stage rehearsal. Dion, standing right next to him, turned to see him.
그래? 베스타 해보면 어때? 아님 다른 방법으로라도.
Seal answered while staring at the stage.
알 때도 됐으니까요. 저기 서는 사람, 보는 사람 따로 있다는 거.
Dion fell silent after hearing his self-critical remark. Could he have said something else back then? Dion sometimes thought about what kind of response would have been better at that time. Still, it wouldn't be possible for him to undo what he had done or what had happened to him. Everything had already happened. Worrying and speculating were for the living. The song Hyesung had performed during the finals topped the music charts for a while. The practice take he recorded on his smartwatch was also scheduled to be released after processing.
학폭가해자의 노래가 차트 상위권을 차지하는 세태에 비판의 목소리가 커지고 있습니다.
His scandal with Seoyoung didn't have any further impact now that both of them were gone. Even Seal's notebook didn't stop people from paying their tribute to the young talent. There was some criticism that the deceased were being exploited for profit. Now that the controversy was at its peak, Hyosung was the center of attention. The sad thing was that he was not in this world anymore.
이런 끝을 바라진 않았을 거 아니야.
Dion sometimes thought about Hyosung. He behaved for his own pleasure, threatened the others in rage, expressed anger and fear. One minute he was a sweet guy, and then suddenly he got all mad. Which was his true side? Dion shook his head. He knew it was hard to define a person's personality with a few words. Would he be able to get to know him more if he was alive? Everyone thought they knew Hyosung, but he died leaving behind the mystery of who he really was. Kohyuk decided to join the 5th season of Buried Stars. The news kicked up the dust again. An agency even offered him a record deal. But he rejected all offers, saying he wasn't fully prepared to make his debut yet. It didn't make any differences since he was already a mainstream star.
또 심각한 얼굴이네. 무슨 생각을 그렇게 해?
그냥 뭐 이것저것. 형은 아직 여유가 좀 있나 봐. 맨날 문병 오는 거 보면.
여유 있긴. 너 보러 시간을 빼는 거지. 오늘은 좀 어때?
Dion touched the windowsill with his hand.
복잡해. 사람들이 그렇게 됐어.
지금은 너만 생각해.
He fidgeted as Kohyuk patted him on the shoulder.
미안.
아니야. 내가 아직 다 낫질 않아서.
얼마가 걸리든 푹 쉬어. 다 나을 때까지. 복잡한 머리도 풀릴 때까지. 내가 있잖아.
Dion raised his head to listen to Kohyuk. He was staring at Dion with an affectionate eye.
너, 나, 우리 두 사람은 살아남았어. 힘들면 기대해. 내가 언제든지 곁에 있을 테니까. 도윤이 네가 구해준 덕분에 난 여기 있어. 언제까지라도 널 배신하지 않을 거야.
Dion's eyes blurred and tears rolled down his cheeks. The faces of their departed friends glimmered under his eyes.
괜찮아.
Kohyuk patted Dion on the shoulder again.
서로 의지하면서 살아가자.
Dion lowered his head and grabbed Kohyuk's arm. The sound of the rattling window hit the walls of the the sound of the rattling window hit the walls of the still hospital room.
도윤아, 딛고 일어서. 내가 곁에 있을 거야.
His kind voice seemed so distant. Sung Young-shin, the chief producer of Buried Stars Season 4, her brother tried to receive the insurance money and compensation. But their estranged parents appeared to claim it too. Their parents had gotten divorced long ago. The remaining family members quarreled with one another over the inheritance. Amidst all the conflict, it was newly revealed that Seung had been abused and neglected for a long time since she was little. The media predicted a long and messy legal war among the family members. Then they poured gossip about the tragic family history of the genius producer who died at an early age. Her divorced parents appeared in court due to their daughter's insurance money, resulting in exposure of her past. Seung used to cook up other people's stories as she pleased to achieve her career success. What would she think of all the gossip about her now? Yoon was often curious about that. He shook his head to clear his mind. He raised his head to see the dazzling sunlight filling the entire window. He squinted as if trying to see through the sunlight. A sharp light stabbed at his eyes, head, and chest. Even the pricking pain couldn't erase the lingering doubts. Was it really Seal? Had Seal really done it all? Stalking, background checks, murder, suicide. Dean skimmed through Seal's notebook, memorized in his head over and over. His head was about to burst with never-ending questions, and he was barely able to stand himself up. Well, there we go. We reached the end. Boy, that was a long journey. Very enjoyable. I have to admit that when we first played, I wasn't really into this game. I think it took a while before it finally got interesting to me. But I'm happy that I managed to stick it out because I think it's a really good game. The English translation is not perfect, so you do have to do a little bit of your own interpretation. I'm assuming that in its native Korean, it's probably a better read. But I thought the art was good, the music's good, the voice acting seemed like it was really well done. Not really an expert on the language, but yeah, I'd be interested to see if Team Largo decides to do another visual novel. I'd certainly be there to try to enjoy it if they do a translation and bring it over. I don't get a whole lot of opportunities to play things that were developed in South Korea, but I'd be more than willing to play more stuff. Of course, if people have suggestions on what to play, I'd be more than happy to listen to that too as well. Normal and rash verdict. Hint: keep your sanity and bring up the right suspicions to reach the final reasoning. Rash verdict, huh? So there's another one that I can unlock. I mean, my sanity is max, I think, at the end there. Start the game with new ending data retained. All right. Well, I think I don't know if there's another end that we want to try for. I think I'm more than willing to try for a different ending if there's some things that I need to change. But I don't know if the rest of you want to be around for that journey or if you just want me to release something that's at the end. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. If you have people that are interested in watching me play, then try to pass it along. I'm on the lower subscription count, so anything you can do would help. I would appreciate it. Of course, you don't have to, of course. I don't want to force anybody to make that decision. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'm sure more people will watch after we broadcast because I get a lot of rewatches as opposed to watching live, which is normal. Yeah, this is Audapostrophe, and you've been watching Phater Stars on Nintendo Switch. I certainly hope the best for the team that develops this game. Hopefully it's successful enough for them to make another game. I'll be more than happy to play it when it comes out. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.